Hello everybody and welcome to Dryer Days Art Studio. I'm Catherine and I'm so happy to have you here. I've been getting a ton of questions on my Instagram about what I'm using for my boards, what I am using to make my boundaries on my boards for my resin work, so I wanted to make a video showing exactly what I do. This is an 11 by 14 MDF board that is a ½ inch thick. I'm coming in with my ruler and marking the middle, and then I go out from the middle equal distances because I know what look I'm going for with this geode, and it'll make sense in a little bit when I start laying down my epoxy. But this right here, I'm just measuring out my middle, and you can see if you're not happy with it, just go in and erase it, which I was not happy with that line there. And from there, I'm just marking out equal parts. I like things to be symmetrical. Not everybody's that way, and that is fine. But I like a general area of where I want my boundaries to go. Once I have those lines drawn in of where I'm going to put my boundaries down, based on the measurements I just made, then you can kind of get a little bit more creative as it goes out. This is where things aren't so symmetrical and they have more that earthy geode type look, which is not always perfectly symmetrical, obviously. And again, I kind of took a step back. I wasn't real happy with some of the lines, and so I went in and I changed them a little bit. Because I knew I was making a video about this, I pre-mixed my Epoxy Sculpt, and you want to take equal parts. I have a scale. You can find a link in the description of all of the stuff that I use in my videos. This is the product I use, Epoxy Sculpt. This was the 4-pound because it's a little bit expensive. This was $45, about $43 for the 4-pound. The smaller ones are they're not very much, and they're like $20. So this was actually saving me a little money, but I pre-mixed the two parts together and I let it sit for about 5 minutes till it was ready to use. And here you can see I just come in, I just roll it between my fingers, I get it the thickness that I want. On my smaller pieces, I do make it thinner. On my larger pieces, I do usually have my strips a little bit thicker. So you just get them to the desired size that you want. And then you just come in and lay them down where you want them to be. I'm going to change the angle here so you can see it a little bit better. So you can see it's nice and thin, just a little strip. And guys, this is all part of the prep work. I mean, this is time consuming. You can see just me getting this one piece down, getting the right thickness here, and it starts to move faster as you go, but it does take time, and the prep work is so important to have these beautiful geodes. I love making boundaries. They keep my colors where I want them. I can stack my glitter up against them, which I'll show you at the end of this video. A piece that I have not put resin on yet, but has all the prep work done. So it has the boundaries in it, has the glitter, it has the stones. And you can see how I use these boundaries to even help me just lay down my glitter and my other items that I want to include in the geode. To show you the process of laying this down. And again, if you need any products, check out the video description of this video or any of my videos, and there is a link to my Amazon store. And usually I try to provide links right in the video description to every product and where you can find them on Amazon. I love Amazon. You can get mostly everything that I will put on there 2 days. The prices are really good. A lot of my stones, especially my real semi-precious stones, I do buy from someone that I know personally, or I find them on eBay. But I do find a lot of stuff on at Michael's and Joann's as far as glitter. So there I just have a little cup of water. I was showing it there on the screen. And I just take a little bit of water on my fingertips and go in and now smooth these out. So this is immediately after I've put all these down. So the epoxy is still moldable. It does take about 24 hours for these to fully dry. So I kind of try to do all my boards that I want to do at one time. If you're on my Instagram, you'll see I did a bunch of these in one. It took me like 4 hours and I just did a bunch of boards. And then I set them aside to dry overnight into the next day. So that first one I did, I kind of pinched the top to make it like a point. And this one I'm showing here, if you just smooth it down, you can get a different look, and it'll be a lower boundary. It won't be quite as high as the kind that's pointy. And I use this version right here where I flatten it down and make it smooth in my Iceland tutorial. So if you want to check out what a painting looks like with it all done in that fashion, you can find that on my Iceland. I'll include a link right now up here on the video. You can click on it if you want to check that out. I predominantly do the kind that I'm doing now where I make it a pointy tip. And again, you just take a little bit of water on your fingertips. It's like clay. The epoxy, I like it because it's essentially a clay, but with the strength of an epoxy. So it's going to stick to almost any surface. That's another question I get, is if I pull these boundaries off. I do not. They are part of the painting. You can see in all my other videos, any of my time lapses on Instagram, that I do paint these. I incorporate them right into the painting. They're part of the painting. They act like lines. You know, we add lines in at the end with our Uni Posca pens and even kind of ribboning with the resin. This is part of that look. This is part of the geode. So I go through with the water and finish out every single line. It just gives it more of a polished look than just the epoxy sitting there if I had just laid it down and done nothing. It also helps kind of push that epoxy down onto the board to seal to it so there's no gaps underneath. And this is just part of giving it, you know, a professional finished look. If we want to be considered real professional artists and we want to sell our work, we have to do stuff that's going to kind of set us apart from the rest. And these are those kind of little finishing touches. So here I wanted to show, this is before I've resined this piece. And you can see the gold there, the blue, that gold to the right, that's all up against a barrier. I've stacked these stones up against a barrier that I made. That blue glitter is up against a barrier. And you can see how they really just help make your painting. If you guys found this video helpful and it answered some of the questions, this is a time lapse that I put on my Instagram. If you guys want to see how I finished this piece, I'm going to be posting it on my Dry Your Days page here on YouTube, and I will put the link to it at the end of this video. You can also find the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Come check out my Facebook group, Acrylic Pouring and Fluid Painting. Check me out on Instagram at Dry Your Days. I appreciate it, guys, so much, and until next time, keep on pouring.